Got some breaking news into the HQ involving the Cleveland Browns and their quarterback Deshaun Watson. Our Jonathan Jones is reporting that Watson and the Browns have agreed on a restructured contract that's going to ease some of the salary cap burden over the next few years. Watson will still get the $46 million owed to him over each of the next 2 seasons before that deal expires at the end of the 2026 season. Watson signed a 5-year, fully guaranteed $230 million contract with the team in 2022. He's appeared in only 7 games this season before suffering a torn Achilles. All right, for more on this, let's bring in the man himself, Jonathan Jones, CBS Sports senior NFL insider. Let's start. What does this mean for Watson's future in Cleveland with a restructured deal?
So, Russ, we had reported a couple of weeks ago that Deshaun Watson would be back with the Cleveland Browns in 2025, and a lot of that, frankly, had to do with his contract. The fact is that they can't get out of it, and this was a huge contract, a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed deal. Because it remains fully guaranteed even with this contract adjustment, there's really no way for the Browns to extricate themselves from it if they wanted to. And so with this sort of restructure, what they are ultimately doing is they're lessening the cap hit and the cap burden for themselves in 2025 and in 2026. Still waiting all the details on this contract. It's my understanding that they've just added another year to the contract. Same amount of money, just another year to it. So you can spread the money out over, let's say, 3 years instead of the remaining 2. And so you will lessen the cap hit for Deshaun Watson. That will allow you in 2025 to re-sign some key players, to potentially bring on some other players in free agency. And it very importantly signals to everyone with the Browns that 2025 is not going to be a tank. It's not going to be a rebuild or a reset season for the Browns, something that Myles Garrett may have had in the back of his mind when he spoke with the reporters last week. No, this is going to give the Browns more flexibility to remain competitive in the NFL.
Does it signal whether or not Deshaun Watson is the de facto starter if healthy with Cleveland or not?
Yeah, great question. And no, it does not. And so he had Achilles surgery in late October. That, depending on the person, is an 8, 9, 10, could be as much as a 12-month recovery period. Suffice to say, Russ, he's not going to be able to pass a physical until the summer. So you're going to have OTAs begin, maybe even mandatory minicamp in June, where you're not going to have Deshaun Watson on the football field. And so you're going to need to get a quarterback in there. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a second-year player, he will be under contract, but Jameis Winston is a free agent. This is not a very strong free agent quarterback market. Right now, the Cleveland Browns are picking 5th in the draft with 2 games left to be played. They could obviously move up or down in the top 10 here in the final 2 weeks of the season. And so the Browns are going to have to find some quarterback help. Whether Deshaun earns QB1 by the start of the season in early September, whether he's healthy enough to be QB1 week 1, all of that still far to be determined. But again, the Browns are absolutely going to be bringing in quarterback competition. It's a matter of how, if it's going to be a draftable quarterback at the top of the draft or if it's going to be a free agent.
Yeah, that was going to be my final question to you. So what do you think we should look out for with Cleveland? Picking very high in the draft, no matter really what happens in the final 2 games of the regular season. They're going to have a top 10 pick. Where would you expect them to go with this, knowing that Watson's on the team, but they do have some more salary cap relief?
Well, if you're the Browns, you certainly are doing all the work that you possibly can on Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback, and Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. However, it would be very believable for me that those 2 quarterbacks would not be available after the 5th pick, maybe even after the 3rd pick in the draft. And so we have to see how this draft order is going to shake out. Certainly, the New York Giants will be in the market for a quarterback. The Las Vegas Raiders will be, perhaps the Tennessee Titans. And so with 2 games left to be played, with tiebreakers and strength of schedule, we don't know and we can't guess where the Cleveland Browns are going to end up. If they are later in the top 10, would they have the sort of ammunition needed to move up into the top 2 or 3 to get that quarterback? Or if they lose these final 2 games and maybe some teams they need to win a game or 2, they start to fall, then you see the Browns with a top 3 pick, and they would be very well positioned to draft the quarterback who could be the week 1 starter. But when you're picking that high, that person will certainly be the starter for years to come.
That's CBS Sports senior NFL insider Jonathan Jones. JJ, thanks so much. Hey, look for JJ on the NFL Today. It's the CBS, of course, pregame show, which begins at noon Eastern on Big CBS as we get ready for the penultimate weekend of the regular season in the National Football League. And our schedule on CBS for Sunday looks like this, with the Jets and Bills at 1 p.m. and then the Dolphins clinging to slim playoff hopes, taking on those very Cleveland Browns at 4:05 Eastern, live on CBS, streaming live on Paramount Plus.